Welcome to Life in a Headlock. I'm your Mississippi Madman, Logan Creed, and you are?
My name is James Sterling.
Nice to meet you.
I am the client and manager, the man behind the paint, and a completely different person from Stardust. And you are Mississippi Madman Logan Creed.
Yes, sir.
Yes, indeed. I remember your Ego on Break videos. Very enlightening.
Thank
You and Mr. Anderson, Mr. Andrews, whatever he likes to call himself. Can't be expected to remember their names, because I'm too important. But what would your first question be, Mississippi Madman Logan Creed?
Sweet. I'm going to go a little bit in between with you, from YouTube to video games to wrestling. Does that work? Sweet. All right. Well, who was your inspiration to get into YouTube first?
The almighty dollar. There's a lot of money in YouTube, a lot of money in YouTube audiences, and riling them up against businesses. Not that there's any of that going on here.
No, not you. I wouldn't have seen
No.
you.
I rile up big businesses, multinational corporations. Not businesses where this is an interview scenario, Mississippi Madman Logan Creed.
Yeah, no, I ain't gonna sue nobody, brother. But I saw a boy try to sue you for like, what was it, $10 million or something?
It was $10 million, but we can't underestimate the value of Jim Sterling, the greatest showman in video games media.
I enjoy your shows.
Oh yes. It went up to $15 million
So
once they added several other libel charges.
He didn't like you.
No,
And
I do draw that out of a certain class of person.
I see. So it's your British presence, your intelligence overtakes us all. Sweet. Well, who encouraged you to get into wrestling? Who was your inspiration?
I would say that my personal inspiration would be Stardust. Yeah, I don't know if you've heard of him.
Yeah, I've seen
Stardust.
his purple presence. I like
He's
him.
very purple, a lot of spandex. The legally owned property of Jim Sterling Entertainment.
Sweet.
Some may say he looks a little bit similar to some other stuff, but we ran it with our lawyers, and no other company can get us on this. Not like they got us on those YouTube videos, okay?
That's right. With a particular person's head.
Stardust is mine. So I even do it a little bit different.
Yeah,
So I paid for my own theme music.
that's awesome music.
I paid for my own spandex, which doesn't come cheap, not when you have to buy in bulk. And I bought my own silver shoes. So I would say that myself and Stardust, who I am and am not, are more than ready to show pro wrestling ego a little taste of the Starlight.
I like that. All right. Well, let me ask you this. Who trained Stardust to get into wrestling?
Well, here's the thing, Mississippi Madman Logan Creed. Stardust didn't need training. You see, he hails from the Phantom Zone and weighs in at none of your bloody business. He is already a master of the pugilistic arts. He knows all of the wrestling moves. Suplex, DDT, suplex. He knows them all. Plus, he used to play the SmackDown games on PS2, so he knows what he's talking about.
Sweet. That's an easy way to learn. Beat the hell out of training. I beat the shit out of myself.
Absolutely.
My back hurts,
Absolutely.
my knees hurt, my shoulders are bad, I got a bad neck.
I mean, I personally had a bit of a hemorrhage disc, which I sustained in a very brave injury, lifting some boxes. Obviously, Stardust, when the face paint goes on, that's a very different character, a very different beast entity, if you will. More than a normal man, and not subject to physical laws such as large ruptures in the lower right spine.
Kind of like Hogan, you hulk up when the face paint comes on. The anatomy feels no more pain.
I'm nothing like Hogan.
Okay. Sorry, I try. Sting's got face paint.
He's okay.
Yeah. Stinger splash.
We will say that Stardust shares some similarities with some wrestlers that have face paint. But I would say probably Sting. Sting might be the closest resemblance, but again, fully original licensed material. that is owned by moi, so no problems there.
All right. Where did you get your wrestling name from?
Where did I get my wrestling name from? Well, my name is Jim Sterling.
Yes.
His name is Stardust.
Mm-hmm.
That's about all there is to it.
Let me tell you the story how I got my name real quick. I know you
I
like.
would love to know how Mississippi Madman Logan Creed got the name Mississippi Madman Logan Creed.
That's it. You like comics.
I love comics.
You know who Wolverine is?
I am well aware of
You
Wolverine.
know who Sabretooth is?
I do know who Sabretooth is.
I was always a huge fan of Logan when I was a kid, so I
Right.
took his first name.
Mm-hmm.
Victor Creed is Sabretooth's real name. I took his last name.
Interesting.
Da! The Mississippi Madman.
That's
from Logan
wonderful.
Creed.
You know my favourite comic book character?
No idea.
I'll tell you what, Mysterio.
I like Mysterio.
Who, incidentally, if you read Old Man Logan, the
Made
good
him kill
one,
everybody.
it was Mysterio who got Wolverine to kill all the X-Men. I'm a big fan of Mysterio. Conversely, if we're talking DC, I'm a big fan of the Scarecrow. I like characters that beguile. I like characters that can draw fear out of someone. I like characters that can... Well, let's just say I like a character whose superpower is making you think he has superpowers. And that may or may not have any bearing on anything that happens later on this evening.
See, when I slide my mask on, I kind of do the same thing.
It's
My
all about
persona's a whole
entering,
nother
yeah, it's a
thing.
different person.
You got to go into the madness.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and you've got to reach Mississippi Madman Logan Creed for the star.
That's it. All right. Well, let me ask you a question. In wrestling, do you have a favorite moment? You know what I mean? What sticks out in your head?
I would say the very first Bludgeon Brothers promo. I know it's very recent. Some
Mhm.
people might look to say, you know, the unstoppable force meets the immovable object.
Yeah,
You know, they might talk about Mick Foley falling from the hell in a sound, you know? But for me, two socially awkward druids holding big hammers is the essence of professional wrestling.
I always like the part where Luke Harper can't get the mask off.
When he struggles and then tries to put it on the upturned mallet and it just sort of sloughs
Yeah,
off a
that
bit
might
like
wanna-
diseased skin. It's a good look for him.
That might want to work on that gimmick a little bit, you know what I mean?
Maybe a few stylistic changes.
I'm on with you, I like it. Let me ask you this, between the two gimmicks, do you like them as the Bludgeon Brothers, or do you like them as Wyatt's henchmen?
Well, similarly to how we were talking about comic book characters and misdirection and head games, I do take a lot of inspiration, I feel, from Bray Wyatt. When I watch him, it's like watching family sometimes, you know?
Same thing.
And while the Wyatt family is a wonderful, wonderful concept, there's just something about those socially awkward druids with the big old hammers. I can't get enough of them.
You know, I could see them as acolytes from the Undertaker back in the day.
Yeah, there's a slight ministry feel to them. The fact that they sort of seem to be wearing Kane's teenage clothes seems to help that along a fair bit.
I can damn sure see that. So, well, let's see. We're kind of in this area. So, what is your opinion of TV wrestling? Any show, Impact, WWE, Lucha Underground, whatever you like to watch.
Well, I was always a WWE person, which some would say isn't real wrestling, but you know that's to everyone's taste.
That's why everybody's getting injured right now, and the roster is pretty much crap.
I mean, no comment from moi. Actually, no, plenty of comment from me. WWE, you stole my content on YouTube, so
Well, you know what I'm saying? I mean, everybody's getting hurt.
yes,
You know,
yes,
and
indeed.
Injuries, that's not fake, brother.
No, it's not fake. It is real. People get hurt. People lose their lives. You know, to actually take this to a serious place. So serious and now macabre that I did forget what the initial question was,
Well,
Mr.
it's
Madman
just,
Logan.
what do you think of the present product on television?
Yes,
I'm
the
sorry,
television product. For me, right now, I would say that NXT is my go-to. That's the thing I don't want to miss.
Okay.
80% of that might be the Velveteen Dream. But the rest of it is definitely Aleister Black and Andrade Cien Almas and Johnny Gargano and who else haven't I said? All of Sanity. And the Undisputed Era, although an era is a period of time, not a collection of people or a group or a faction, that bit bothers me even if their thing is really cool that they do that I can't do. I can do the Star Trek, not in these gloves. Not in these gloves. Too thick and leathery.
Gotcha.
And rocking up now in the...
Sorry about that.
I mean, it's that you're not in charge of glove rockage,
Well,
Mississippi Madman Logan Creed. You can't be held accountable. You really, really can't be held accountable for that one. I think I'm good now, covered in cat hair. You wouldn't see Paul Heyman covered in cat hair, but those are the conditions we work with.
We got two at the house. I get you same problem.
Most
I do got a question. Is you being a British man? did
I
you
have been a British person in the
a
past.
certain British wrestler you like to watch?
A certain British wrestler that I like to watch. Well, I mean, obviously there was some sad news recently, if I recall correctly, regarding Paige.
Yeah, her name.
Yeah.
Is jacked.
I mean, she was a delight to watch. Her charisma and delivery, especially when it came to speaking, was wonderful. I did like watching her. Someone who was a kid growing up with the Attitude Era and everything, through to Ruthless Aggression, I always have a soft spot in my heart. And again, it goes back to NXT for William Regal. It's just hard not to love the power of the punch. Which again goes back to that idea of a great superpower being the tricking of someone into believing you have a superpower.
What brass knuckles?
Yeah, nowadays they do it without the brass knuckles. It's all Superman punches, big fists, and you know, big KO. But what happened to some good old-fashioned brass knuckles? That's a British institution. I say we bring those back.
We use it here in the South too. So sweet. All right. Well, what would be your dream opponent for Stardust? I got an idea, but I'm not sure if I'm going to go in the right direction.
My dream opponent for Stardust would probably be Mickey Rourke's character in The Wrestler.
Sweet, Randy the Ram.
Randy the Ram, I think so. I believe he and I could work really well together. I believe he's still wrestling. I know the documentary ended on a sort of vague note, sort of will he, won't he sort of thing. But as far as I know, he's still active, and I'd love to get one last match with the man.
Let me ask you a question. You know him and Jericho were supposed to wrestle a match. That never happened, right?
Of course.
Would you like to see the match?
I mean, who wouldn't? Who wouldn't love to see more of Randy the Ram in action?
Sweet. Cool. All right. Let's see. While watching wrestling, or while Stardust wrestles, does he prefer tags or singles? Now, do you prefer singles or tags? Which would you rather watch?
I'm a big fan of tag team wrestling. I find tag teams fascinating, always have. Obviously, again, going back to that late Attitude Era, the matches between the Hardys and Edge and Christian and the Dudleys was just just beautiful, beautiful stuff. But for Stardust, while I do think there's tag potential there, because he doesn't like to do too much work. I mean, he could if he wanted to, but he just doesn't feel like he should, and frankly, I agree with him. He does like the idea of tag wrestling for that reason, but honestly, he always belongs in the Starlight.
Gotcha. That's always the best place to be.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah. Sweet. Well, let's see. In the end, so the end of our Stardust's career, what is his goal in professional wrestling? Or what is your goal for him in professional wrestling, whichever way you like to take it?
It's difficult for me before the face paint goes on and I'm truly in the headspace of Stardust, who I may or may not be. For me to talk as Jim Sterling on behalf of Stardust's long-term plans, because he thinks on a scale that would honestly drive you to the brink of madness if you attempted to comprehend it.
Already there.
He sits at the starship, comprehending the cosmos, and honestly right now all I can do is focus on the short term. which is, even if it's like pulling a rotten tooth, is dragging the talent out of pro wrestling ego and thrusting it into the limelight so that people can actually see worthy competition, not just mundanities that are sat there in the audience, you know? I believe the pro wrestling ego and independent professional wrestling just deserves someone with that little extra je ne sais quoi. And for me, that man, sorry, I shouldn't use the word man, that Goliath is Stardust.
Well, the final question is more or less you as a YouTuber, or you as Stardust. Whichever way we want to go with this is up to you. And if there's anybody you would like to thank for helping you within your career, here's your opportunity to say whatever you would like. Camera's yours.
Okay. We're better than this.
Well, that was Stardust, and I'd like to thank y'all for watching Life in a Headlock. I don't edit, so this has been interesting.
Is it still full? Because I want the chair as well.
Well, you stole my damn chair. That's one weird son gun.